this, but you're not going to like it.
It doesn't matter, we must know it.
All right. The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42.
We might ask others, what do I do about my marriage problems? And the answer we will get will be, get some marriage counseling. We ask, I need to find work and make money. And the answer will be, go to college, get a job, right? We say, I feel sad a lot and I don't feel like living sometimes. And the answer will be, get on medication. We ask, how do I feel close to God? And the answer is, show up to a church with a high-powered speaker and highly emotional worship music. Jesus' answer to these questions and to life is akin to the supercomputer in Hitchhikers, right? Revealing that the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42. It's a non sequitur. It doesn't follow. It doesn't make sense, especially when we say to Jesus, Jesus, make my life better. And he answers us by saying, serve. To us, Jesus saying serve, it's a non-starter. We are saying we need to be served, but Jesus says to serve. And you're like, wait a minute, Jesus, I'm asking you to help me. I'm asking you to serve me. And he says, no, you serve. Like, I don't get it. It's like Jesus saying the answer to our problems is 42. What's the deal here? What gives? From what we read, James and John's greatest desire is to be Jesus' right and left hand men in his kingdom. And Jesus says, serve. We say, my marriage is crumbling, and Jesus says, serve. We say, I need money, and Jesus says, give money. We say, I'm depressed. Jesus says, become a friend. It's like a voice telling us to build a baseball field. It doesn't make sense unless we really understand the directives of Jesus here and what they mean to the core of our being and to the life of our souls. Check out Genesis 1, which tells us, Elohim said, we will make man in our image, as a likeness of us, and they will have dominion over the fish of the sea and the birds of the heaven and all the beasts of the earth, and over every animal that moves on the land. So Elohim created the man in the image of Elohim. He created him male and female. And now look at John 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God was the Word. This was in the beginning with God. All things came to be through him, and apart from him, nothing which has come into being has not come from him. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. In Isaiah 42, in light of Genesis 1 and John 1. Look here, my servant, who I uphold. Look here, my servant, who I uphold. My chosen one, in whom my soul approves. I put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth judgment on the nations. In Isaiah 53, he will see the toil of his soul and will be satisfied. He will see the toil of his soul and be satisfied. In his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, for he will bear their depravities. And then Luke 22. And Jesus said to them, the kings of the nations exercise lordship over them, and the ones exercising authority over them are called benefactors. But you will not be this way. The greatest among you must become as the youngest, and the leader the servant. For which is greater, the one reclining at the table or the one serving? Is it not the one reclining? But I am with you as one who serves. See, Genesis tells us that God made man in God's image to be like God in every way. John tells us that Jesus, the Word, is God. The scriptures speak of this God in the core of his being as being a servant. if we're created in the image of God, and Jesus is God, and Jesus is a servant, then at our very nature, everything we are, at the core of our being, cries out for us to be servants. But again, from our perspective in history, the answer to our ills being served is like Jesus telling us the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42, or a voice telling us to use every dime we have to build a ball field. We don't get it. We don't understand it. Why? Well, I believe none other than the Apostle Paul has our answer. And he says, according to how it has been written, there are no just ones, not even one. There are none that understand. There are none who seek out God. All avoid God. They are simultaneously useless. There is no one doing kindness, not even one. See, we get that we're immoral, and we need to try to be more moral. We understand we need to lie less. We understand we need to cheat less. We all really try hard to stop being immoral, stop lying, cheating, etc., because these are the things we think are the result of our fallen nature. And they are. But it's only a part of it. See, we think that if we just do these things, that these are the things we need to do to reverse our course and please God and be happy ourselves. We hope that maybe one more Bible study, one more accountability group, one more church service might get us there. But according to Paul, we don't get it. A lot of times we like to look at that verse and say, oh yeah, we understand, we understand we're fallen. But when we look at it in light of Jesus telling us that we were made to be servants, in the scripture throughout teaching us that we were created in God's image, that we were created like Jesus, who was a servant, we don't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense. Then Paul's words really take on a different meaning, don't they? Especially as for us seasoned evangelicals, we start to understand, wow, we really don't get it. So what are we missing? Let's say I'm a pastor of a church and a man comes to me and says, I'm thinking of divorcing my wife. Then I say, wow, bummer. We're going to build a house for a homeless family later today. Come with us and work on the project. The guy would be confused, right? The answer to life, the universe, and everything, including my marriage woes, is to go build a house? Yep. This is what Paul means when he says there are none who understand. I mean, even us who claim to be Christians, we still don't get this concept. Paul says there are none who seek out God, because what the guy getting the divorce doesn't understand is that what his soul needs, what his wife's soul needs, is not another marriage counseling session, but to learn to serve others. No question, Jesus is a servant. Therefore, we must be servants. Often we look at our redemption as only cleansing, our past mistakes. We raise our hand, we bow our head, we close our eyes, we come forward at altar call, we get baptized, and then all of our past is taken care of. All that mess is done away with. It is that, right? I mean, we believe Jesus has redeemed our whole lives. But the scriptures make it clear that our redemption also restores us to our original nature, right? That's our tradition. And what's our nature? Our nature is to be a servant. Yet we just go on after realizing that Jesus' work on the cross has redeemed us, like, phew, glad I figured that out. I got that taken care of. Now I can go on with my life and not worry about that. And seldom do we live out our lives like we're redeemed. And I'm not just talking about being more moral, less lusting, less cheating, that sort of thing. It's like, we don't get on this path of redemption that Jesus is talking about, which is to return to our original nature, which is to be a servant. It's like, oh great, we're not lying as much, We're not cheating as much, lusting as much, but we stink at living out our true nature as servants, just because I just don't think we understand it. We don't understand that this is what God has called us to. This is not this. We don't understand this is how God made us. We keep seeking for our own prosperity, don't we? After we get quote unquote saved, we continue to ensure our own comforts. We work to promote our own fame and reputation, don't we? And we wonder why our marriages suck, why we're sad, all the garbage that results from living for ourselves. The counterintuitive answer is we need to start desperately looking for how we can begin to take a tiny little step and have our lives revolve around serving others, revolve around, not just a little soup kitchen here, soup kitchen. That may be good steps, but these are the things our lives need to revolve around. Serving others and meeting their needs. Ask yourself, and I'll ask myself, when was the last time I did something for someone when I did that act, my deepest hope was that I would gain nothing in return? When was the last time I refused to ask, what's in it for me? To illustrate further, think of a time you did something for someone and you got nothing out of it. How did you feel? Did it drain life from you, or did it energize you? If you did it in community, how did you and your group react? Was it like, oh man, that was just a bummer. We can never do that again. How did you react? How did your soul respond to that?